tomorrow. TSA misses their second paycheck, $1 billion in missed paychecks, and Congress is set to go on a paid spring break vacation. Thune says he's given his last and final offer to Democrats, and you tweeted out today, terminate the filibuster. Thune said, I got a call this morning to that.
So they said two things, right? Two things.
The following program is rated TV MA. Viewer discretion is advised.
I'm saying, a lot of people will blame Donald Trump. And that shit gets me the most pissed off because, hold on, wait a minute. Donald Trump is in the Senate. You get what I'm saying? He's not the one that votes on what gets passed on the bill. He has input and he can approve of everything once it's all finalized. But however, it has to go through these representatives first, these senates first, and then it gets to the president. You feel what I'm saying? So if these guys have not presented anything yet, Donald Trump can give a temporary solution. However, the senates are supposed to be the ones with the long-term solutions because the senates are the ones that represent each state. Get what I'm saying? So let's hear what Donald Trump had to say.
But we're getting them fast approvals. Lee Zeldin is doing a great job.
Mr. President, Kayleigh again, two things happen tomorrow. TSA misses their second paycheck, $1 billion in missed paychecks, and Congress is set to go on a paid spring break vacation. Thune says he's given his last and final offer to Democrats, and you tweeted out today, terminate the filibuster. Thune said, I got a call this morning to that.
So they said two things, right? Two things. One of the things that they mentioned, I had to do my research, filibuster. Filibuster is basically how the Senate can continuously disagree and agree on, can continuously disagree until they can agree on certain things that goes on the bill. So they could disagree on something years and years and years. You feel what I'm saying? And that's why it would feel like a hostage situation until the solution is actually provided. However, when you're in a situation and there's a hostage, you negotiate and stuff like that. You guys meet each other's demands and you right the wrongs, right? Well, it's been a couple of weeks now. You know what I'm saying? And it's getting excessive. You get what I'm saying? So at this point, to have no funding for any party and having a government shutdown is completely wrong. And there's no negotiating that. How can you negotiate that?
That effect from the president. Where do things stand with TSA? Will they get paid, and should Republicans nuke the filibuster to do it?
Well, look, I like John Thune, and it's not easy for him because he's got 3 or 4 people in there that, I'm not big fans of, frankly, and that don't vote for us like they should. You have, perhaps I shouldn't mention their names, but you have 3 or 4 people that I am not at all fans of, and it's not an easy job for John. And I'm telling you, the Democrats, the one thing they do is they stick together. They don't have these people like Massey, who's just a terrible congressman. They don't have Rand Paul. I call Massey Rand Paul.
He's basically
Jr.
talking about all of Congress.
From Kentucky, I call him Rand Paul Jr. Never votes, no matter what.
The Congress are the ones that vote on the bill.
5 other things that are perfect, and he'll figure out a way not to vote. It's just there's something wrong with the guy.
And if they don't come to a vote or come to an agreement,
Rand said Trump is one of the greatest presidents in the history of our country. And I called him and I said, I'd rather have you vote. Take the statement back. Just give us your vote. But, I sort of like the guy, but he just doesn't vote for good things. It's just crazy. He wants to be a libertarian, I guess.
See, so here's my issue when it comes to stuff like that. Republicans, I want to say, are unbiased. If there's a solution or if there's a smarter decision to make, they'll make that decision. Whether Republicans are right or wrong, whether Democrats are right or wrong, Republicans are usually, fairly looking to side with which party is being the most fair. Democrats, on the other hand, they're very biased. They're very closed-minded. If the Republicans have a great solution, and maybe a party, a little bit of the Democrats are against it, everybody in the Democrats are going to be against it because they stick together very, very strongly. You get what I'm saying? So almost like a ride or die, right? Well, sometimes you got to have a mind of your own. You can't be a sheep, and you have to think, this ain't worth dying for. You get what I'm saying? When you have a mind and a train of thought of like that of your own, you can make the decisions and vote for what you think is best. And that's the point. Democrats will vote to stick together because they're Democrats. Republicans will vote usually to find out best solution, whether it comes from the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. You get what I'm saying? And that's how you negotiate. You got to come to the middle.
I'm fine with libertarians. I'm sort of a libertarian myself. But you have others. You have Murkowski from Alaska. I've given Alaska probably more. She's a very difficult person, very, very, very terrible person, to be honest with you. And you have Collins. And I won half of Maine. You know, I win Maine. I win the lumberjacks and the fishermen. I win those big, strong lumberjacks. They like Trump. But she wins the other part of Maine, and I hope she wins because we have to. She's a good person, actually, but we have to win. We have to keep the majority. Otherwise, all of the things that we've done are going to go down the tubes. But I would terminate the filibuster, and I'd take a vote, and I'd have everything done, and I'd vote on voter ID, and I'd vote on citizenship. I'd vote.
Now, taking out the filibuster, I wouldn't completely agree with as well. It sounds like a great solution, but sometimes the hardest decisions deserve and need the time to be made. You get what I'm saying? Things take time. You don't want to rush things, and you know, in a negotiation, you know, or a hostage situation, when the person that's holding whoever hostage, when the person that's holding the victim hostage or innocent bystanders hostage, and they feel like there isn't making any progress, you know, the hostage usually likes to take out or they'll do something that's like out of pocket to be able to push that timer to work in that person's favor. When there's a filibuster, you know, it's just time and time and time in between. However, the government shutdowns, zeroing out funding, things like that make a filibuster seem like hell. Because now, yeah, you still are trying to come to a solution, but now things aren't working and there's no progress. You get what I'm saying? But that was Donald Trump's take on what it is going on pretty much with the TSA news and DHS. However, here's a perspective on a Democrat and how he sees what's everything going on. Particularly, this Democrat is a Democrat of Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Feel what I'm saying? So this can apply for me particularly and where the votes are going in our state. However, wherever state you're from, you might want to look up and check out how to get your congressman in the Senate from that state.
Let's bring in the one Democrat who voted against his party to keep the government open, and he may be seeing blowback for that in the polls. Democratic Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. Mr. Senator, thank you for joining us.
I know who I'm voting for.
Hi. Hey, Chris. It's great to be here.
So we're both heading into Easter here, and I don't think we've ever needed rebirth and renewal more. My question to you is, do you think the Senate stays, or is there nothing really, no deal on the table worth staying for in terms of the shutdown?
I truly don't know. I mean, things seems to shift here or there. But what I've always maintained, whether during this shutdown or the shutdown, you know, last year, it's always wrong to shut the government down. I don't care if it's the Republicans or the Democrats behind it. And now the people that are driving that, they end up with empty pockets. There was no health care, but it just punished, and they plunged 42 million Americans into food insecurity and now suspended SNAP, and all of our employees weren't paid for that entire period now. And now I'm traveling every year, and I talk to TSA agents, and uniformly they are desperate, they are angry, and they are exasperated, where I'm like, why are we doing this? We just don't get it. I mean, these are not rich people. They make around $50,000 a year. Used to be, should be our wheelhouse. These are the kind of people that we should be fighting for. And now we're talking about affordability, and now we're denying them to their paychecks. And now here, and we knew going into it that shutdown of DHS would have zero impact on forcing any kinds of changes at ICE. And that's here we are right now.
See?
So what is it that we really get out of it? You know, all we've done is we've punished TSA and other employees under DHS and made us less safe, and now creating mass chaos in our air traffic system across America.
See, so Democrats, basically their ultimatum is to shut down ICE in the DHS program, right? That doesn't make sense. I understand they would disagree with the practices of ICE. However, that's just leeway for correction, not elimination. You get what I'm saying? Because they're the ones that protect the nation. You feel what I'm saying? So they can complain, they can have an issue with what's going on with ICE and but there's a better way to resort that. And having a government shutdown is not the way to do it. Because by doing that, you're not just hurting ICE, you're hurting everybody else in that same department. And there's no solution for what's going on because there's no correction. We need ICE. We need the TSA. We need Homeland Security. We need the Coast Guard. Doing a shutdown like that, holding people hostage like that, does not help that. I understand going on strike and negotiations and stuff like that. However, this is not the way to do it. It's a strong, very, very, very strong stance. But now you guys look like idiots because you're holding people at $0. You're hurting people you're trying to help people by hurting people. That's not how you do it. You get what I'm saying?
So the Democrats started it. Is it true that the president refuses to finish it? That when there was a deal on the table that the senators that on the Republican side wanted to take, they were told no by Trump? That's what Senator John Kennedy says.
I mean, you know, there's deals back and forth, but it's really there's a core truth here right now. Democrats have no leverage, and we've never had that because ICE already had the money that they needed from the big beautiful bill that I did not vote for. We had no leverage over it. And now they haven't agreed to any significant kinds of changes that we were demanding.
Democrats want leverage.
I called for Noam
That's
to be
why this is going
fired.
on.
She was. And now we had an opportunity to work with someone. And in this case, Senator Mullen, now Secretary Mullen, was a friend. And I had the ability to work with him directly. You know, he invited me to go to Turks and Caicos. If people remember, Americans were looking at a decade in prison because of a couple random bullets in their luggage. And we worked together, and not one single American, ended up going to prison. So
So basically what John Fetterman is saying is he has no issue with working together to find a strong solution. You get what I'm saying? However, Democrats usually stick together, and working together is not the way that they want to do things. They rather, you get what I'm saying? They rather have it go their way. As you can see, Donald Trump is in office. That's not happening. Biden won last year, and y'all seen how that went. You feel what I'm saying? They did what they wanted to do. That's clipped after that. It's not y'all turn anymore. Watch out. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully. Fair and square. Let me bump up to this right here real quick. There was another part that I wanted to get into.
overall.
Senator Fetterman, I always appreciate you making the case. You're always welcome here to do it. I hope there's news of a deal to reopen the government. I agree with your position on that.
And I'll drop the links below so y'all can follow up
There's
on
no reason to shut down the government. None. It should be illegal.
I agree. And now remember, you shut the government down. It was a record one just a couple months ago. You know, it was about healthcare. We're not talking about healthcare anymore? You know, what happened to all that? Where did you deliver any? No, because there never really wasn't anyone wanted a deal. So here we are. The only thing we're doing is we're punishing people. I saw an interview where it was Senator Sanders. It's like,
Just
well, what
sad.
have you accomplished? It's like, well, we made a point that ICE is out of control. It's like, yeah, well, congratulations. You know, we know
Good
that.
point.
And, you know, it also made a point that TSA agents that we don't think you deserve to be paid.
Are you worried about ICE being used as a stopgap at these airports? Now we just heard they're going to be 500 sent into New York for the airports.
I'm not. And now there is no drama there. I just think end this shutdown. It is truly absurd.
Let's start with that.
You know,
End the shutdown.
it's like we demand a table. A seat at the table about war powers. We can't even reopen our goddamn airports. You know, it's just like, you know, like we got to work together and we have to find a way forward. This is, I mean, like these poor people are getting ground up. People are missing their flights. Standing in line for 4 hours longer than the flights that they're even waiting for even.
Now, look, the problem is real and it's getting worse. One last question for you, Senator, and I appreciate you. Some people believe that the answer is to get rid of the filibuster in the Senate. You'll get more done because you'll have a simple majority and elections will have the consequences that the voters expected when they place their vote. Do you agree with that idea? Or do you think that you need to protect some kind of approach of consensus?
You know, the filibuster, you know, all of the Democrats, including myself, we were so wrong. You know, in my campaign in 22 was like the filibuster, you know, let's eliminate the filibuster. We were all so wrong, you know, like, and I try to remind Democrats, we love the filibuster right now. And, you know, the majority could run the table. And if you turn the Senate into a smaller version of the House majority, and they will, you know, just ramrod anything. And this is just so thankfully, you know, we actually failed on try that. And now, you know, there's plenty of Republicans that agree with that. They would never, that's a hill they die on, that they're not going to allow to change the filibuster. And I would.
Let me tell you why that's funny, chat, because they wanted the filibuster. They wanted to eradicate the filibuster when Democrats was in office. You feel what I'm saying? If Democrats was in office and the filibuster was a thing, they would have been snapping with whatever would have been put on the bills. They just would have thrown it out there, and the solution would there would have been a solution to the problem, whether it be the right solution or wrong solution. It's up in the air because the filibuster would have been gone, and something would have to have happened. Basically, there has to be something that happens after this filibuster. Now that Republicans are primarily in office and Trump signs off on everything, they're strongly disagreeing with doing the filibuster because Trump be putting some stuff out that's like, oh yeah, he's gonna shake the room with that. He's gonna shake the room with that, and not only that, he's gonna have to stand on it. That's one thing I do like about Trump, and why I did vote for him. He's gonna when he says he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Now, do I agree? I always said this when I originally was hearing about Trump and him being in office. Do I like Trump? No. Is his presidency about me liking him? No. Do I always agree with Trump? No. Do I like his character? I'm starting to grow on him, but no. He's rude. He ain't for the bullshit, and he's had his hands in so much different entities of things. He's a dangerous man. Now, does he get the job done? Need I say more? You get what I'm saying? There's some things I really don't like about Trump, but it's not about Trump. It's also about the Republicans, the leadership that Trump brings to this country, and finding the solutions that we need as United States citizens. You feel what I'm saying? So I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope this taught some of y'all out there. Hope this educated some of y'all out there. Pretty much this was for the y'all out there that may not find politics easy, but want a different perspective and a different breakdown and rundown on how things go, I got the resources for it. Had a little more time on my hands. Blessed that I was able to do this. Hope that I could bring you guys more more formal and presidency research and things like that. I got another video for y'all later on after this one, which is gonna really tie everything together. Pretty much Trump weighs in on DHS funding and everything else in between and gives his solution. This just dropped 3 hours ago. You feel me? This dropped today, 3 hours ago, y'all. So, make sure y'all tap into that, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Maybe y'all this show. Ski.